What's up, Ender Ithos here from AwakenedIntimacy.net, on the roll once again for our second video of the evening. You may notice the same background setting, the same good old red shirt, the same lighting, and also the same stark contrast of a missing Shaleia plant. Where has she gone? She's in the other room. But I felt inspired to create a video while she's doing her thing today. So, let's get started. Today's video is about how to heal your childhood trauma. Oh, that is a big deal, because so many people are walking around with mother issues or father issues, and I'm not going to get into all of the stuff involved in childhood trauma. That's another topic that's like a whole seminar, right? And actually, we may be doing a workshop on that one coming up 2015, early 2015. We'll keep you updated on our workshop coming up. But for now, you and I are going to talk about how to clear childhood trauma, because I just cleared 100% of all of my childhood trauma. You might be wondering, how can someone make a claim like that? How can someone be so precise on the percentage of their childhood trauma being cleared? Most people's parents haven't even cleared their childhood trauma. You know, maybe your grandparents cleared it. But, yeah, some interesting questions. And, you know, you probably want to watch the video before this about how to use a pendulum, because that's going to show you one of the powerful things that I did to use to find out what my childhood trauma was, and to find out how to clear it and whether I had actually cleared it. So let me give you the process. And I wrote a blog on this before, and it's the 7 secrets of how to massively accelerate your spiritual healing. It's an easy 7-step process on how you do that. Not difficult at all. So step 1 is you got to find someone in your reality who's pissing you off, who's making you so upset. That person has to be the most annoying, irritating, ridiculous jackass in your reality. The person that you were the most upset with could be your sister, your mom, your dad, your coworker, this jackass that lives by you, this, you know, whoever. This is someone that you really despise. And they got to be in your reality right now, is the other caveat. Not someone that you have residual, you know, frustration built up in the past, but someone that you're upset with right now. Like, if you can think of in your mind who you're most upset with in this moment, great. And if you're not upset with anyone, you're probably lying to yourself, or you're an Ascended Master who has no trauma whatsoever. Okay, so now that you've identified the one person in your reality who's bothering you the most, I want you to bust out a trusty pad of paper. This is our workshop itinerary. Let's find a new one. So you get your pad of paper, right? And you're going to write down what it is. You're going to love this part. You write down what it is that's pissing you off about this person. So, pulling out my chopstick from dinner this evening. Give me a little prop effect here. You know, I am upset with Rob because he ... and is a fucking jackass. Doesn't work. That's not enough, right? You got to be really clear and precise and get really into it. Get really clear about why you're upset at Rob. I'm upset with Rob because he did this. So you want a specific action thing that he did that made you upset. Okay, so Rob, you know, called me irritating names and makes fun of me, and you know, spilled my coffee on my lap, and I hate him, and it made me feel this way. It made me feel sad and depressed and angry and upset and tired and hurt. Period. So that's a pretty good encompassing of why you hate Rob, why you're upset with Rob, why Rob's a jerk man. So you've got that clear, right? I'm upset with so-and-so because they did this thing and it made me feel this way. Write it out, right? You don't want pages, you know, you don't fill up the whole thing. You probably want a good paragraph, you know. If you get to about half a page, your writing's probably pretty big. Usually, someone's going to upset you for one set of succinct reasons. Now, if Rob has other reasons why he's upset you, just go focus on one event first, and all the feelings around that one event. And what I'm about to tell you next is about to blow your mind. You're probably going to fight me on this. Rob, the person you just wrote about, not necessarily Rob for you, the person you just wrote about on your paper loves you so much. They love you so much that they're willing to reflect this for you. They're willing to help you with your inner work. Well, Rob is a fucking jackass. And this bro man said some ridiculous shit to me. And was really rude. And it hurt my feelings. And all this stuff. Great. Well, let's just hold that one off, the part that Rob loves you. You might see that later. And if you really do this right, at the end, you're going to feel some serious gratitude for Rob. And Rob's not going to bother you again with this issue. Ever. Unless you want to, recreate your childhood trauma so that Rob will do it to you again, but he probably won't. So let's find out how to get Rob off your ass. So now I want you to write down the same sentence that you just wrote, but all over again. I want you to write, I am upset with myself because I, and then fill in the whole statement. So anytime you mention Rob or he, anytime you say a pronoun about someone else, I want you to turn around and say I, or me, or my, or myself. So that now, all the things that you're talking about you hate about Rob, or that Rob did to you, you're writing about what you did yourself. And this is some pretty profound shit on how to clear your childhood trauma. Because everyone outside you is mirroring an aspect of you. And if there's someone outside you that's really, really upsetting, they're just reflecting that part of you that you're doing to yourself. Now, if you're like me and you're in a twin flame relationship, you're going to have someone so close to you who loves you so much that they're willing to mirror the deepest parts of you. If someone doesn't give a fuck about you, they're not going to care. They're not going to mirror anything. They're like, yep, see you, bud. Done with you. Right? But if someone cares about you, someone loves you, then they're willing to get in with you. And they're willing to, intermesh your shit with their shit because, you're reflecting something of theirs. But you don't have to deal with Rob, our example. And for me, I don't have to deal with Shaleia when she reflects my stuff. But she's got her own traumas going on, and I'm upset and I've got my own traumas going on. Neither of us actually has to be, dealing with the other person's trauma. We just deal with our own trauma because that's what we can change, what we're responsible with. I don't need Shaleia's permission to deal with my trauma. I don't need Shaleia to be in the right space to deal with my trauma. I don't need Rob to be in the right space to work this out together, right? I've done this, cause and effect, right? I had an issue with a neighbor, and I cleared this stuff within myself. And the instant that I finished it, a whole bunch of things outside of me, something I didn't create outside of myself, I didn't pull the strings to make happen, all laid out together to fix my problem. And now I don't have to deal with that person ever again. And I didn't do anything to do that except for figure it out within myself. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm showing you how to do that right now. So if you're listening to me, if you're doing the work while you're listening to me talk, you might be done with the second part, step 2. So well, no, maybe this is step 3. Step 1 was identify a person. Step 2 is write down this is the mirror exercise that we're doing. Write down why that person's upsetting to you, succinctly in 1 or 2 sentences. Have a good paragraph. Step 3, I want you to flip around the pronouns. So I'm upset with myself because I spilled coffee on my lap. Literally, just write it out. Don't worry about what's happening. Just do the exercise, and it should become clear to you as you move on. So I spilled coffee on my lap. I slapped myself in the face. I called myself bad names, and I made me feel bad and depressed and sad and upset and whatever your circumstances, whatever the situation is. And if you got 10 pages about Rob, not doing it right. You just want to focus on one situation with Rob. When Rob came up to your desk and flipped the coffee on your lap and made fun of you, and then you felt this way, right? Rob, in that instance, is reflecting one thing. I want to focus on just one thing. And if you look at Rob and you're like, Rob's such a tool-face, right? Well, let that one go, right? Just focus on the one circumstance, because that's what we're going to clear. So the trick is, if you have pages about Rob and the stuff you hate about him, well, you got pages about yourself you got to deal with. So we're just going to focus on one thing at a time. So now that you have written out all the stuff that you're doing, to yourself in this statement, you're like, well, I didn't spill coffee on my lap, and I didn't actually slap myself in the face. We're looking at the emotional aspect of it. And then you look at it and you read the statement and you're like, you ask this question of yourself: is there any truth to this? Is there any truth to this statement? And what we're going to get down to with this question is that, like I spoke about before, this is something that you're doing to yourself inside, in some completely different circumstance. It could be you do this to yourself, you're doing it to yourself inside, and that's why you're experiencing it. So you ask first to validate, right, whether this is true for you. Is there any truth to this statement in any way possible? And 9 times out of 10, in fact, every time I've done the exercise, I've gotten a reluctant yes. Or, I'm writing about Shaleia and this annoying stuff that she's doing and why she was so irritating to me. And then my spiritual counselor says, okay, let's write it out. I'm upset with Shaleia because, turn it around, I'm upset with myself because. And, every single time I look back and I'm like, whoa, she's just reflecting something that I'm doing myself. Thank you so much, Shaleia, for loving me so much that you're willing to reflect this in me. I'm going to go down and deal with it inside myself so that I'm not going to have that reflected back to me anymore. So I write it down, right? Okay, that's about me. Is there any truth to this statement at all? Yes, there's truth. If so, how am I doing this to myself? When or where? And this is the kind of ethereal part, right? This is the difficult part because there's not like a science to it. Well, there's not if A then B then C and D, right? I'm just showing you the step, and this is the step where you're gonna leap inside yourself. You take a great leap, and you say that no, thank you, Shaleia. You take a great leap, and now Shaleia just offered me some tea. She's the sweetest woman in the world. You take a great leap inside yourself, and you say, okay, this has guided me somewhere. Where am I going with this? Where is this taking me? What part of me is this showing me? And you know yourself. You know that some part of you is doing this to yourself. And you're going to get some image inside or some memory, or you're going to know that there's something that you were doing. Okay, well maybe I kind of connected very vaguely to this one idea. It's the only thing that pops up. Well, this is the part where you just sit with it. And you breathe and you focus on it. You might let it go and come back tomorrow. This is the hardest part, is the bridging the gap between what the universe is communicating to you and what it is that you're doing inside. This is the part that I think most people are going to have trouble with. But because the universe is communicating to you in these ways all the time, right? Your light bulb is out, or there's some number on the clock, or some person says hello to you in this new way, or you get a random text message or a call from someone you hadn't in a long time and start talking about the thing that you were just talking about earlier. The universe is speaking to you always, all the time. It's reflecting back to you. It's communicating to you. And the difficult part I found is understanding that communication clearly, because our English language doesn't always communicate in symbolism in such a clear way that the universe does. It's kind of like a dream, how the universe communicates to you. The same way that your dreams communicate to you is very similar to how the universe is communicating to you. So you're finding out what is it that's going on inside me that's being reflected by this experience. And I still have my chopstick, and I still have my dinner to eat, but I took the time out. It's getting a little cool. I'm on seconds. I took the time out to share this with you because it's so important, and God was encouraging me to, share this information. I literally just 4.5 years of work I just finished this morning on how to clear your childhood trauma. And after my spiritual counselor taught me this process, I threw it away. I was like, yeah, but she's doing that crap. I just want her to stop doing that crap. And she let it go for me for a while, and we tried the mirror exercise again, and we got through it. And then when I had something profoundly painful, profoundly challenging, and I did the mirror exercise, and I actually worked through it. I was like crying, and had all these emotions go through me, and I felt all this gratitude for this person reflecting for me, and it was this really intense, painful situation, right? And as soon as I completed that mirror exercise, everything on the outside changed. All of my trauma was gone because I'd healed it inside. So I'm teaching you a way to heal your childhood trauma, right? Or heal any trauma going on, really, any pattern. And I'm also teaching you how to get people on the outside of you to stop fucking with you. Now that's a powerful tool. How to get your partner to stop nagging you. How to get your partner to pay attention to you the way you want them to. How to get your neighbor to stop bullying you. You know, whatever it may be, the problem that you're having on the outside, you're just solving it right inside. And you hear this, right? Oh, you know, law of attraction, what you think is what you get, and, it just seems so vague, right? But here is a very specific and succinct way for you to learn how to clear the childhood trauma that's going on in you. I just get the thought that we're probably going to do a workshop on this too, and if you want to do a session with us, we can do a coaching session, we'd be happy to work you through this as well. We do free consultations. Swing by awakenedintimacy.net/work with us. I will have a link posted for you below. But let's continue the exercise. We're running 15 minutes. This would be worthy of an hour video, but we're just doing a short run through. If you have more questions, feel free to reach out. So you got to the part where we're in that part where, okay, you become aware that you're doing this to yourself in some way. Like, you know that it's true. You just don't necessarily know how it's true. And here is where, I'm going to put this back in my food bowl, a handy-dandy pendulum comes in quite handy. Because you can go within, if you saw my previous video on how to use a pendulum, you can get yes/no answers from Mother, Father, God, Master, Creator of the universe, directly in your home, right here. I'm not special. I don't have some special power that allows me contact with the Great Creator. We all have this contact with the Great Creator. The Great Creator is begging you, not really begging me, the Great Creator probably doesn't beg, is waiting outside your door, gently calling to you, asking for you to pay attention to him, her, and to have a relationship with them. Because God loves you so much. You are the chosen child of God. You are the son or daughter of God. God wants you to have a deep, loving relationship with him, her. And one tool that I use to communicate with God in the interim while I get my, God relationship back on track, or in full alignment, where I can be like Jesus and just go in the garden and pray and talk to God. Right now I use the pendulum, and this gives me, I'm speaking to God, right? And the thing that the pendulum is doing is just confirming on a very physical, mundane level, yes or no, God. Am I allowed to ask that? Yes or no? I can play 20 questions with God all day long and get all the answers of all the things that I need to know. And my communication, my relationship with God, guides every important step of my life. Anytime I have a problem, I just go and I sit and talk to God. Jesus did the same thing. Well, his life is between hanging out with God and then sharing what he did with God with everyone else. And he's teaching you that that's the way to happiness, right? Your relationship with God. So anyway, if you don't believe in God or you don't want to do that, you can still use the pendulum. It works on muscle testing and like your nervous system to find like a yes or no answer. And if you're just strictly physical, on the physical realm, and you're just a brain and a body, you can still do this to heal your childhood trauma. It's linked in with neuro-linguistic programming. It's linked in with like psychology and muscle testing. There's a proven science behind this. You got to use it right. So I recommend you check out my previous video on the channel, how to use a pendulum. Okay, so now that we have the pendulum out, this is a tool that I use that helps me work through my childhood trauma, because there's that great leap, right? And it just confirms what I already know it is. And it helps me to focus on that little aspect, and I can ask questions of the Divine Creator and ask, is this what's really going on inside me? Okay, yes. And I can find that part of myself. So here's the next step. Once you focus on that part, you become aware, right, that you're doing this. There's something in this statement that's true, and then you find where in your reality you're doing that to yourself. Here's what you want to pinpoint. You want to find the part of yourself that's doing that to yourself. So there's a part of you that became disconnected from you, and we're talking specifically about childhood trauma here, during childhood, because of some trauma, because of something that your parents didn't do, or something that other kid did do to you, or your parents did do to you, or whatever. You're experiencing some trauma, and in that trauma, a long, long time ago, a part of yourself disconnected from yourself out of fear, right? Fear and love, two emotions, the only two choices that you ever have. That part of you chose fear, and has been lollygagging, hanging out in Fear Town, since that experience of trauma. And it happened in an instant, and you can heal it in an instant. But you need the awareness to heal it. So that's what we've come to using the mirror exercise, is the awareness of that piece of you that chose fear. And since that piece of you chose fear, it's been choosing fear the whole time, your whole life, since that moment, and it's been sending you fear thoughts and sending you fear experiences, and you've been treating yourself in a fear manner, in a negative way, since that experience. And because of that, other people are mirroring that to you and treating you in this negative way. So Rob, the asshole at work, is probably doing the same thing to you as someone else did. You're like, why can't I get rid of all these assholes spilling coffee on my lap or bullying me? Well, it's because you're spilling coffee on your own lap, so to speak. It's because you're bullying yourself. So now using the pendulum, and you don't need this tool necessarily, and you can use, a piece of string and a rock, whatever, just as something that you can program to go left or right for yes or no. Watch my other video. So once you pinpoint that part of yourself, you speak to it. You don't need the pendulum for this anymore. You put that thing down. So the pendulum just helps you to identify that part of yourself. You speak to that part of yourself. You go into a meditation, and you talk to that part of yourself. There's a voice that it's going to have that's saying something. And you say, hey, you greet it. Hi, hello, what's going on? Well, I have this problem, right? I have this problem that, this person bullied me, or my mom hurt me, or my dad bullied me, or my dad didn't give me enough attention, or my mom didn't give me enough attention, or whatever. Okay, well, you from this place full of love, connected to your heart center, it's all's done inside your heart. You say, well, I won't bully you. There's no one that's going to hurt you. You're safe. You communicate love and safety and peace. You just beam fucking love at that part of yourself. And as you're beaming that love and you invite it into your heart. This great white light, this great, rose-colored light, this great green light coming out of your chest. And you invite that part of yourself back into you to integrate. You can give it a deep hug, because it's you, it's maybe you at a different age, but it's you, it's a piece of you that has been separated from yourself, and that's why you're experiencing trauma. So you love that part of yourself. And if it's not working, that part of you inside is still lollygagging around, you just keep beaming love. The prescription for this, if it's not working, is to add more love. And stay with it. It can take 10 or 20 minutes of just beaming love at this part of yourself until you get it, right? Until you get that just purely beaming love is all that you need to heal this part of yourself. Purely beaming love at this part of yourself is going to get Rob to stop harassing you. No more coffee spilled on laps. No one ever is going to spill coffee on your lap again if that's the trauma that you're healing. Once you heal it, Rob may never talk to you again if that was the only thing you had together and you're not vibrationally in alignment. That was the only thing, right? You just love that part of yourself. And at some point, that part of yourself is going to come into your heart and integrate with you and become part of you. And after you're done sending love and you feel that part is complete, you can hug yourself and tell yourself I love you, whatever. And you open your eyes and you're done. And it may take a few days for the full integration to complete, but no, your work is already done. You've already loved that part of yourself. You've invited that part of yourself back and you've integrated that part of yourself. So if it's a really big trauma, like we started with a really heavy thing, right, it may be hard to get through this because it's such a painful thing to do. But keep working at it. Keep focusing. And if you want to do this with me one-on-one, or me and Shaleia or her one-on-one, let us know. Reach out on the Work With Us page and click on the yellow button or the orange button and sign up for a free consultation and tell us this is what you want to do. We'd be happy to work through it with you. We do individual sessions. We also have coaching packages. We can help you through this kind of thing and help you through your relationships as well. Awaken Intimacy is really about awakening your intimacy to God. And this is one way to do it. Okay, so the last thing you need to know is that stuff is going to come up afterwards. And you don't have to necessarily deal with it like in the same way. Like you might experience pain, or like a cold could come up in a really severe case, or you might be really sleepy or tired. You just need to take loving care of yourself. Take good care of you. Love yourself. Get enough rest. Don't stress yourself out too much because this, you're integrating this new part of you, and all the pain and the trauma is coming up to the surface and clearing. Like if you do a water fast, right? You feel kind of sick when you do it because all this sickness, all this toxicity is coming up to the surface. So you're clearing all this toxicity, and it might take 2 or 3 days tops, and then it should be done. And you won't experience this anymore. You've already healed it. And if you use a pendulum, you know how to ask. Okay, well, after I've completed the meditation, I say, God, am I 100% complete with this? And I get a yes. Okay, and sometimes I'll ask other questions. Did I hear that right? Am I clear in my understanding that I did clear this? Okay, I get a yes. This is simulated, obviously. I've cleared my 100% of my childhood trauma. And that doesn't mean I'm done with healing, clearing. I'm not a perfect ascended being yet. I still have more stuff to clear, but the traumas from childhood are clear now in me. And that can happen for you too. So in an instant it took you to choose fear and create that childhood trauma, you can in one instant create love within yourself and make a new choice. And you can also in one instant make a connection with me and or Shaleia, and we would be happy to help you through this, healing your traumas. So thank you so much from Ender Ionithos, and also the beautiful, wonderful Shaleia Plot from AwakenedIntimacy.net. Check us out, and so much more good to come. We love you very much. Aloha.